public informational type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were a civilian informational gathering group, and they did investigate those.
Yeah, again, Doctor, there you are. What you can hear privately over a few drinks and what you can get someone to say on the air, they're really vastly different things.
Right, in the same way with J. Allen Hynek. He was called in as a consultant, and at first he was willing to dismiss most of the cases that he got, but then he began to get more and more, and he changed his view from skepticism to acceptance of the ET reality.
There are a lot of people who think that should it occur, and ET contact should occur, Hynek would be the appropriate one to, coordinate efforts on our side.
Well, maybe that's what he's doing on the other side now.
Yeah. But there were a lot of people who thought that about him, though, that he would be the appropriate person. Anyway, are you familiar, I know you are, with Bob Bigelow and with NIDS?
Yes, I've met him and talked with some of the people who are working with him in his...
Have you met Cullum Kelleher?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, he works...
not that I know.
Actually, Cullum now heads up NIDS. And he came on the program, this program, and talked about the ranch, a ranch they had purchased where some odd things were going on, and we don't disclose where that ranch is. Anyway, one of the things he said is that one of their observers, scientists, on that ranch, using night vision equipment, saw, I know this is going to sound weird, but a misty, light-filled hole begin to form while looking across a field, a kind of a swirling hole, saw a being of some sort come through it, and saw it close up again.
Interesting.
Now, as you know, they do pretty serious research.
Yeah. A lot of people have described the notion of the window. That seems to be a portal or a doorway between what we think of as reality and another dimensional reality.
Yes.
And that seems to be an example of that kind of experience.
Do you, in your mind, Professor, separate the concept of another dimension, pretty well supported by theoretical physicists now anyway, do you separate that and ufology and ghosts and the paranormal in general, or are they all the same thing?
I think there is a strong connection not only in terms of the events that people describe, but also the perennial philosophy notion that there are many mansions in my Father's house.
Yes.
That Jesus was quoted as saying that what some people talk about in terms of the sky, meaning space, is different than when they talk about heaven. The way I see it myself, although it's a tentative view, is that there are many, many levels of consciousness, many, many levels of intelligence, and some beings that we would think of as highly intelligent wouldn't necessarily have to have physical bodies. So are they aliens or are they angels? The question of nomenclature becomes a puzzling one to me, but I accept the idea that just like energy can be up and down, we use water as a good example, from ice to rain to steam, different levels of water. Well, there could be different levels of intelligence, and I think that many ETs use that as a cover, whether we think of it as clandestine and evil or whether we think of it as a cover for their activities in helping us to evolve.
And you acknowledge it may be both.
And it may be both, right.
Okay, one other really big topic I want to cover with you. We've got one more segment to go. Dr. Leo Sprinkle, Professor Sprinkle, is my guest. He's an old hand at this, perhaps researching longer or as long as anybody alive right now in these areas, so kind of an interesting guy, to say the least. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM, moving through the nighttime like a freight train. We'll be right back. That's the name of it, Ready for the Times to Get Better, by the angelic Crystal Gale. And by the way, Crystal's going to be on the show pretty soon. I talked, actually I got a got a fax from her manager, and she said the next time she's out west, she's indicated a desire to be on the program. So I'm looking forward to that. Absolute angel. No question about it.
This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell from the Kingdom of Nye.
Professor Leo Sprinkle is my guest, and he'll be right back. Okay, once again, back to Professor Leo Sprinkle. And Leo, let me ask you this. Assume there is a federation, which I know you believe there is, of peoples that have contacted each other out there. It seems reasonable and even logical. Right now, I mean, there are many views of what's going on Earth that you can take, but there's one big one going on now. We seem to be undergoing a climate change, a serious one too, at the moment. 40% of the Arctic ice is gone. We found out. That was a secret they held during the Cold War. The Antarctic is beginning to break up. I've got another story on it. In fact, this morning, big chunks of the Antarctic are going away, and glaciers are in serious retreat. And there's a lot of environmental trouble going on Earth. I wonder if membership in that club, whether the invite doesn't come until you pass the test, which is surviving, I suppose, in industrial age, or, getting past it. What do you think?
I think that's a good possibility. There have been writers like John White and Ruth Montgomery and others have talked about a possibility of pole shift. Edgar Cayce prophecies, and a recent book, Zeta Talk, by Nancy Leader.
Right.
And many people predicted the possibility of a quick and violent pole shift. I myself am hoping for a slow and non-destructive shift, but it certainly seems as if, as you've pointed out in the quickening, that a lot of things are happening physically, a lot of things are happening biologically, and a lot of things are happening in terms of our social awareness. I now see TV announcers talking about the global warming, whereas a few years ago it was denied that there was a global warming. So it seems as if there's at one level, it seems as if those of us who have had UFO experiences and have delved into these matters are already aware, and it seems as if the rest of society is gradually being conditioned to accept the idea that changes are occurring.
Professor Kaku seems to be imbued with the concept that if we survive the discovery and development of Element 92, then we graduate to the next level. But he also seems to feel that while there are many he calls us type 0 planets, we're a type 0 planet, using fossil fuels, that sort of thing, that only a small percentage of them probably make it past that discovery to continue to what he calls a type 1.
Yeah, Carl Sagan and others talked about the possibility that in adolescent humanity can graduate to a higher level so that we're less destructive among ourselves and less likely to take weapons out into space. And some people argue that if we do that, then we would be recognized as eligible for membership in the Federation. My own personal view is that we're already members, just like a kid can be a member of a family, but all the relatives are hoping the kid will grow up and not get into too much trouble and gradually become a productive and reasonable citizen in the community. And
I'd be willing to bet you money, Doctor, that we already have weapons in space.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that those who are dealing with this will get the same kind of feeling that the astronauts do when they go into space, that they look back and see the wonder of the planet and saying, are we just about to destroy other beautiful planets? Ingo Swann, in his book Penetration, describes seeing structures on the moon, and others have talked about structures on Mars. I suspect that there's a huge community, and I'm hoping that we'll become eligible for joining that community formally. And that's why I'm a health nut. I keep in shape. I want to be around to see if formal recognition, a public announcement actually occurs.
That's as good a reason to try and stick around as any. All right. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Professor Sprinkle. Good morning. to you. Hello?
Am I on the phone?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. My name is Mike from California.
Yes, Mike.
And I had an experience happen to where I basically made contact with a being that was completely humanoid looking, shape, everything,
yes.
But it was a solid black shadow. It was very dense, but it was human looking. Have you ever heard of anything like that?